Could You podcast. I'm Lauren Tossi.
I'm Anthony Desanctis.
And I'm Ryan Tossi. Remember, live a great life and die a great death.
That's great. I didn't know which film you were going from.
Yeah, I decided to bring up, one animation film that we're not even going to talk about at any point.
You can talk about the Sea Beast as much as you want to talk about the Sea Beast. I know you're writing for that pretty hard.
Is that what that's from?
That's from the Sea Beast. Have you gotten a chance to see that one yet?
No, the one animated film I have not, because I thought it was going to be Wendell and Wild, but we're getting very ahead of ourselves, so,
And the snubs begin now.
Right. You just reminded me I have another movie to watch. Thank you.
That's what I'm here for.
Well, welcome everyone. If this is their first time tuning into our podcast, thank you so much for joining us. We are two people who fell in love at a movie theater and never quite left, and three people who love hanging out at a movie theater together and never leaving. We are so excited to talk about this year's Oscars race. If you've been listening to this podcast even for a little bit, you know that this is passion, an obsession, a fixation, however you want to call it. This is a really important time of year for us. But before we get into this year's nominee class, Anthony, you just did something super exciting. You were out at Sundance. Can you tell our audience a little bit about your experience? How was it? What films to look out for?
Yeah, so I went to the Sundance Film Festival. A little side story. My aunt and uncle have a timeshare there, so it works out very well. They always ski. I go to the movies. We hang out. We get some food, and then I go back to the movies.
Yeah. Sweet, I like it.
Yeah. But I am there to work. That is the most important part. Okay. In 10 days of the festival, 10 and a half, I saw 40 movies.
Amazing.
I know. I was like,
a dream.
My God. So, and I probably could have seen a few more, but there were just times I was like crashing. And I think I should just go now. So, but I don't think anyone can be upset. You only saw 40 movies in 10 days.
Why couldn't it be 41?
Yeah. I did that one time a couple of years ago. I was in line, and the person in front of me was a gentleman by the name of David Permit, I think, or Perlmutt, but he's a producer who produced Hacksaw Ridge, Face Off, and he said he usually gets to like 50 movies when he's there. He also is the man who he takes responsibility for introducing Alec Baldwin to Kim Basinger. In fact. But so this year I saw 40 movies. There were a lot of amazing films. I go there to see what is playable at Arts Quest. A lot of good stuff. There are a couple films I get really excited about and then very sad when I find out a streaming service bought them. If they're smart, they'll still put them in theaters. Yes. But some things I really loved. There's a film called Magazine Dreams with Jonathan Majors. Yeah.
Was it amazing?
It was. I will say this. The movie has far too many endings. It could have ended probably 6 times, and every ending would have worked.
So it's got a Return of the King. I got it.
Right.
Jonathan Majors is just jumping on the bed with Frodo.
About an hour and a half shorter than the third Lord of the Rings. But, but he is phenomenal in it. And honestly, I watched that, and I was like, he could win an Oscar next year. If they're smart, they will save this till the end of the year. That was great. I saw a film called Theater Camp, which is shot like mockumentary style, kind of best in show like.
Ben Platt, right?
Yeah. And it's directed by Molly Gordon, who was in a bunch of movies. She was in Good Boys, Shiva Baby,
Booksmart.
Yes. She's one of the. She's not one of the leads.
Right.
Yeah. Loved that. My favorite movie I saw though. I have discovered recently that I have a favorite director that I keep forgetting is a favorite of mine. That's John Carney. Do you know who he is?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sing Street Once.
Yeah.
Begin Again. He had this film that was not announced before the festival. It was like a surprise when you're there, called Flora and Son. Flora is our lead character, played by Eve Hewson, who is the daughter of Paul Hewson, who you all know as Bono from U2. Yes. The movie is about her, Flora, and you guessed it, her son. She was, I think she's 31, 32 in the movie, had a kid like 16, 17. They're kind of, I don't want to say estranged, but they have a difficult relationship. He gets into trouble a lot, and basically one day, she learns to play guitar. She takes guitar lessons across the country virtually with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Yes, and then what she learns is that she is able to find her voice, discovers that her son is very good at, like, I don't want to say DJing, but, like, creating music on the computer, and they together make music. And it is this beautiful, inspiring thing. I was in a screening. So there are public screenings and there's press and industry screenings. I could get into public screenings, but for the most part, my badge was for the press and industry screenings. Now, these are not the general moviegoers. These are, people here, either they are agents, just people trying to buy movies. They are distributors looking to find movies that are looking for distribution, or they are people like me just trying to figure out what to play in a theater. Usually the crowds at these are silent. Silent. Everyone was clapping and cheering at the end. It got a standing ovation.
Nice.
And it's a movie you got to see with your mom. It's for mothers everywhere, okay? But then I found out Apple TV bought it for $20 million. If they're smart, they'll put it in theaters. Because you know what else was bought by Apple? Coda. And that one Best Picture. I'm not saying this would be that, but God, this movie should be seen in a theater with an audience. So, I am still in the process. I've been putting this off for a while of making a letterbox list of all my Sundance films. So if you find me on there, Sound of Silence, yes, I like the song. You can see everything I saw. So follow me. Anyway, I guess I'm getting to that part early, but yeah.
No, that's awesome.
Cool.
So this is our summer project. So we're not currently on Letterboxd, and I haven't done it. And I think we're going to do one for the podcast eventually. Is the hope and goal? I don't even know if I've said this to you. It's like my goal for the summer because I think it would be a lot of fun. But follow Anthony on Letterboxd, everybody, because he's going to have amazing recommendations. And I want to see all those. Like you said, Joseph Gordon-Levitt teaching guitar lessons via Zoom, and my whole heart went, oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, it's a wonderful movie. And that's what John Carney does, though. He always makes these movies. Yeah. Like, he doesn't make musicals. He makes movies that are music-based. And how music, inspires people, And then I actually watched Once Again for the first time in, 10 years a few days ago. And I was like, God, he's brilliant. So
he did Begin Again as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Once is just one of those movies that, that story is so great, and it's not, it does not have, I wouldn't say a conventional ending by any means, but that song alone, is worth the wait of the movie. But, I mean, it's such a great film, too.
And I'm glad you said Sing Street, because Sing Street's so underrated.
One of my favorite movies of the decade.
Gosh. It's fantastic.
So it sounds like you had a really good Sundance.
I did. Saw a lot of... what else did I see? I saw a documentary on Little Richard that I loved. One on the Indigo Girls that I loved. Saw a really good film called Squaring the Peg. I will follow up with the How Could You podcast on the proper title of this film. But basically it goes into the studio that was responsible for designing the artwork of most of the most iconic 60s and 70s rock albums.
Oh, neat.
So you think of Dark of the Moon, and it gets into how that came to be. And not just the guys who created it, but Pink Floyd is in it, Led Zeppelin's in it. They also interview Paul McCartney, Peter Gabriel, Liam Gallagher's in there. Sorry, Noel Gallagher's in there. Liam is not in there. But yeah, awesome movie. A lot of good stuff. So...
And just, what's the whole experience just like there? Because how many years have you been going?
This will be my 5th time going.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's amazing because, there's pros and cons to TIFF versus Sundance, but major pro of Sundance is that, this is a small town that, comes to life for Sundance.
Mm-hmm.
It's a ski resort area to begin with, but, I have been there at times when it, just for skiing, and I've seen the differences, And man, people are just excited and everyone's there loving movies and
awesome.
You are basically in Park City during this time to do one of two things. Ski or go to Sundance. So, and usually you can tell who's there to ski because they have poles, So, everyone else there just loves movies and it's just great. It's the one thing I'll definitely say over TIFF is TIFF is in the middle of the city. Everyone's excited, but also... The city is going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Sundance, we are here to celebrate our love of movies. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, it sounds like such a special experience. Thank you for sharing that with us. We've been excited to hear your thoughts and what films to be. Because the fun thing for you from obviously a programming standpoint, you can start to kind of map out the year. And for us getting to hear it, we know what movies to be on the lookout for. And
Apple.
maybe...
I desperately want Flora and Son. Please put it out in the theaters. Please. I'm sorry, Lauren. I just needed to make that please.
Listen, so. I hope Apple's listening. I mean, I assume from the amount of their products that we have in our house, they are listening to us constantly. But we are here. We are not necessarily like thinking to this next year, we were talking about the year of 2022 and the 95th Academy Awards that are upcoming. We are just a few, short weeks away from these winners being announced, but we need to spend some time today making our predictions, staking our claims as to what we think will win. Yes, Ryan?
Can I have a Tossie's take?
You can have a Tossie's take.
This Tossie take I just have to put out there really quick because I
for
just
it.
learned about this. I'm so excited about it, and it fits in. It's Steven Spielberg, so I just want to say I've talked about on the show my love for Kubrick, and anybody that knows that Stanley Kubrick was working for like 20 plus years on a Napoleon script. It was his dream, project, and just never seemed to come together for a variety of different reasons, and he eventually had to abandon it. It was supposed to be his project after 2001. I mean, and anybody that knows Kubrick, he took forever, and he just put... Steven Spielberg has the script. He is putting it together and will be doing a 7-part series on HBO. So he announced it just like a week or so ago.
What?
Yeah. So I am quite excited. Cannot wait for this. He did a great job with AI, obviously picking up. That was a little bit different because Kubrick kind of, put him in the reins a little bit before. But yeah, so I think it'd be really... The only weird thing is I think we have another Napoleon project that's in the works with...
Ridley Scott?
Ridley Scott,
Joaquin
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
So, we're going to get a lot of Napoleon in the future.
It's a big clamoring for it.
But I just...
You've not really investigated this Napoleon guy. I think he's got some things we can talk about.
To know in 2023, we still have Kubrick, stuff coming out in the near future to look forward to makes me very happy. So I just had to get my Tossie's take out there about that.
I like that you're breaking this news for both Anthony and I today, which is really fun. I think, maybe myopically looking at award season, I've missed other entertainment things that are dropping too, so I'm excited to hear that. Are you both emotionally prepared for a little lightning round discussion of me asking you your favorite things about the Oscars?
We'll find out.
That's the kind of energy I like. And here we go. Ryan Tossie, when was the first time that you saw the Oscars?
2003.
That was Anthony, in case no one knows.
All right, so I will say, yes, as much of a movie lover as I was, I did not get into the Oscars prior. I would say they probably started getting on my radar of who was winning, probably in the mid to late 90s, probably around, Saving Private Ryan and Shakespeare in Love type of time where I was kind of listening to the winners, but I still wasn't watching the show. 2003 was the first time I ever sat down and watched it. And shamefully, I will say it was because Eminem was supposed to perform Lose Yourself. I was very excited to see this because I found it very strange. So I wanted to see this, watch the whole broadcast to watch this, and he never showed up. However, Steve Martin killed it that night. It was a great show, and I was pretty hooked after that.
Anthony, same question.
I'm sorry, I just need a moment. I don't know if I'm emotionally ready for Ryan's response. So,
how could you, Don, about why I haven't seen the Oscars before that?
See, I like that two of us can shame him on this episode. That makes me happy.
Sorry, my reaction sometimes is very high pitched. So viewers, you might think it's Lauren. It's not. It's Anthony. Okay. So the first memory I have of watching the Oscars is actually, I always forget how to say this. It was the 98 Oscars celebrating the year of 97. The Titanic year.
Yep, there you go.
I remember watching Titanic win. The vivid memories I have are watching Titanic win Best Picture. But the thing that actually sticks out the most, the thing I remember vividly, is Ben Affleck and Matt Damon winning Best Original Screenplay.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
For Good Will. And I remember after that, jumping through them for a couple years in bits and pieces. I don't think I remember the year Shakespeare in Love won. Still not over it that Saving Private Ryan lost. It's fine. It's not, but whatever. We're not here to talk about that. 99 I did pay attention to because The Sixth Sense was nominated, The Matrix, and I remember them making a lot of jokes at Annette Bening because she was heavily pregnant that year for whatever reason. That was the year she was nominated for American Beauty, a film that should not have won Best Picture.
Preach.
Thank you.
This is why we keep inviting you back.
Anyway, so I remember that. 2000 I don't remember. 2001 was the first year Lord of the Rings was nominated. So I remember watching that and watching it lose. But the first year that I truly paid attention and had seen all 5 movies nominated for Best Picture was 2002 with Eminem winning
stop.
Lose Yourself. He really didn't show up because that was the year was The Two Towers, Chicago, The Hours, Gangs of New York, and The Pianist. And controversial take, guys, I think the worst movie won Best Picture that year. So, of the 5 of them. So...
Interesting.
I like Chicago.
Yeah.
I just think the others are all better. So, anyway.
It's, it's really interesting that you say that because I was like perusing through the list of best pictures, and I think at that time I felt like, yeah, Chicago should definitely win, and now I look at it and it seems odd.
Mm-hmm.
What was it all up again?
The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, Gangs of New York, The Pianist, and The Hours. I like all of those better, personally.
Yeah. Okay, all right.
And I love Gangs of New York.
I'll go with Gangs of New York and Lord of the Rings, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
All right, hopefully this next one doesn't anger
How
anyone.
lightning round this is going for you.
Yeah, right? I'm sorry. This should just be quick. 97. Next question. Go. Yeah.
I'm asking them quickly. You take
Are
as
you
long as
giving
you
me
want.
Hey, what about you? Laura Thompson, lightning round. What was your first experience with the Oscars? Go.
I was 4 years old.
Came out of the womb.
Came out of the womb saying my acceptance speech.
Yeah.
This is like the funny thing. Like, I know that I started watching them from a very young age. The telecast was always on. The year that I've kind of been given as the markers was about 4 years old. And then, honestly, by the time I'm 10... even actually a little earlier than that, my dad started taking me to see a lot of the Best Picture nominees. Now, the interesting thing about this, too, is the Best Picture nominees, as we all remember, in the 90s weren't as niche as they are now, and there were only 5. So this was not, and obviously there was not this intense stratification of like how we consume media. So it was like a little bit easier, I think, back then in some ways. I wouldn't say with like the international features or the docs, because if you didn't have an art house theater in your town, you probably weren't getting access to those. But I came out of the womb wanting to watch the Oscars. All right, next question. Favorite Oscars moment of all time. Anthony, you go first this time.
My favorite Oscars moment
of all time.
All time. Dear God. Okay. That I have been alive for. Parasite winning Best Picture.
Ooh.
So yes.
That you were not alive for. That's such a weird way of phrasing.
No, because there are moments that I've seen like brought back that like give me chills and stuff. I still love when Charlie Chaplin got his honorary Oscar. They gave him like a standing ovation for like 5 minutes.
Right. So, the longest standing ovation in Oscars history.
There's also a streaker at one point that like runs behind David Niven.
Yep.
So.
And he says, showed us all of his shortcomings.
Yes.
Yes.
So that.
Good answer. Ryan Tossi.
Can I give you... Do you want my Agent of Chaos?
Yes, I want your... Always.
Or my, heartfelt answer?
Agent of Chaos answer.
All right. My Agent of Chaos answer is Moonlight-La La Land. Just the chaos behind that moment just... found very amusing. I enjoyed both films getting their thing. My heartfelt answer, though, is Guillermo del Toro and Shape of Water. Just the fact that film could win Best Picture, to me, is just beautiful. And the fact that del Toro gets to hold that with so, and then you have Greta Gerwig, who's just lighting up, looking from the audience, and just shows how much love del Toro gets. And just for that type of filmmaker, that type of film to get Best Picture, just, absolutely favorite moment all time.
Good answer. All right. It's going to come right back to you.
Well, you
gotta give answers.
Oh, yeah. Can I tell you?
We're a trio here.
I'm in charge of the lightning round, so I feel like I don't have to answer. I mean, mine, Tom Hanks winning for Philadelphia. Oh, yeah. That'll always be my favorite. Cool. There's just that speech hits my heart all the time. I will also say I think there's a lot of... It's interesting because, I sometimes, again, we talk about this, this recency bias, and I'll say, the Guillermo del Toro year, that felt really special. The other one is when Leo finally won. Yes. I shut off a confetti cannon that we were finding that confetti for years. Legitimate. We moved out of that apartment, and I was like, there's still Leo confetti in here.
What were you wearing that night?
Okay. So I was wearing
Velcro that confetti sticks to.
I was wearing an exact prop replica of Rose's dress from when she's on the back of the ship in Titanic.
Oh, that's great. I thought you were going to say I dressed up as the bear that, like, ate Leo. Like, you know. So,
That would have been amazing.
yeah. Either one was appropriate. Like,
I had, like, that on and I think, like, Chucks. And, like, I didn't do anything else to costume him. I was just like, this is the dress I must wear the night he might win. It was very exciting. All right. Describe this year's nominee class in one word.
Graceful.
Oh, graceful.
I do. I think everybody at this point seems to be just, playing the game. I don't want to say playing the game, but just very much love of film, love of the industry, just love of what they're doing, and very complimentary to everybody in it. There doesn't seem to be any type of infighting, although I've heard rumors, but it doesn't seem to come out in the interviews and stuff like that. And just all of them, just for different reasons, feel very, So that's my answer. Sorry.
Anthony.
Can you ask the question again?
Describe this year's nominee class in one word.
Oh, nominee class. Dear God. Okay. Epic.
Oh, I like epic.
Yeah. I just feel there's a lot of big films nominated and stuff, and I'm not saying, like, the blockbuster has returned to the Oscars like the way they did in the 90s, but, yeah, I just think altogether, like, this is just a good lineup of long films, but epic films that have an epic feel, and, a lot of these, I think, just showcase just filmmaking in general, like, everything we can do. I think this is a good compilation of, hey, look at everything movies can do. I think we get a lot of movies like that this year, so...
Nice.
Can I also say eclectic?
Yeah.
Yes.
Eclectic's a good word for. I would say, like, it's my word for it is love fest. Like, it feels like this is a group of nominees who are very willing to praise each other's work, to be really present, to express a particular experience that has gotten them here. Like, there's not this sense of, like, I'm only here to talk about this film. I mean, obviously, like, Brendan Fraser, I think, has done a really wonderful job of, like, kind of bringing, like, his film history into the weight of being nominated. So, yeah, they're a lot of fun to watch. My last lightning round question for now, before we get into the nominees. On a scale of the dude from Big Lebowski and Al Pacino in Any Given Sunday, how mad are you about the Andrea Riseborough controversy?
How mad? Rating from those?
Yeah, so are you more the dude about it? Like...
I got this one.
Okay.
I'm going to go Joker. Heath Ledger's Joker.
Oh, yeah, you got to be specific here.
I'm going to go Heath Ledger's Joker, where I'm kind of just like... Sometimes it just, like... see the world, like, there's just an interesting chaos of it. Like, I don't know if I really care, but at the same token, I'm a little interested in seeing how this is all playing out, because I think it's exposing things that need it to be exposed. That's my answer.
Anthony.
Well, I think we'll talk more about this when we get to actress in a leading role. I'm actually going to use a real person in a real moment, something you guys just brought up. My reaction to this whole thing is Ryan Gosling finding out that Moonlight won Best Picture while standing on the stage, where he's just like... So, because everyone... Yeah, look up the picture. He's just there like, wow, this is silly.
It's kind of like a hiding your laughter, right?
Yeah. Like, look, I mean, we'll get into this. I saw the movie. She should be nominated. We can talk about who shouldn't be in her place. We'll get there later. But yeah, I thought she should be nominated. So, Ryan Gosling... not winning Best Picture.
I absolutely love that answer.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Okay. If you want to give me a movie character, Brad Pitt in True Romance. Just keep going. You're good. So.
My answer to this is I'm gonna say Bruce Willis in Pulp Fiction when he goes, "Zed's dead, baby." Like, because there's nothing I can do about it at this point, and I just gotta accept that it's there. Yeah. It's a weird circumstance, and I don't know if I like how we got here or the I think I agree with you entirely. There's this conversation around it that I think is, like, really important, and an unpacking of a certain kind of coalition in Hollywood that I think exposes some things. But outside of that, it's like, at this point, it's like, I didn't want to see anyone's nomination taken away. I just wish things had been nominated differently. And that's not really at Andrea Riseborough, which as I'm assuming we're going to get into. Well, guys, thank you so much for playing Lightning Round. This will be coming back later on in the episode.
What are we at? 35 minutes of Lightning Round?
Some very long lightning.
All right, so let's get
a hell of a storm.
Let's get into these acting categories. We are going to start with supporting actress. So we are looking at, for this is going to be Angela Bassett in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Hong Chow in The Whale, Kerry Condon in The Banshees of Inisherin, Jamie Lee Curtis in Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Stephanie Hsu in Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Can I start something with this?
Sure,
because
of course, yeah.
I know there's going to be, we've already talked about lead actress and stuff like that. We're going to be talking about some occasionally some other people. This is the category I think above all else they nailed. They got it completely right. Like
I do agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't see many snubs or everyone deserves an Oscar from this category, in my opinion.
No, I don't disagree with you, and I think that maybe that's why I knew we were going to talk about snubs. I just completely, my mind just went right over it because there is something that feels like a stacked category. Where the Oscar race can be unpredictable, and I think this year is going to be more surprising than not. At least that's how I think things are shaping up. I think there's going to be a lot of love spread around, but what are we thinking? Who do we think has got odds-on favorite at this point? Anyone pulling out in the lead for either of you?
Are we asking that question in, who will win or who we want to win?
Let's go who will win.
It's funny because the person who I think will win is the person I want to win the least. And I want to say, it's funny because I say this and I think they're actually the best actress on this list. I just saw her getting all these accolades, then saw the movie, and I was like, okay, it feels to me more like a career Oscar win than anything. And that, I'm sorry, is Angela Bassett in Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
He's coming in this house and disparaging Black Panther.
I loved the movie. I loved her in it. She is not coming out hot. It is not an Oscar-winning performance to me. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Angela Bassett.
She
I love you.
has lost everything.
She told us very loudly.
Are you out here in these streets saying that Angela Bassett shouldn't win? Anthony, listen, that's certainly a hot take indeed.
Strong.
I like it. Agent of Chaos. This is chaos that I needed. Only because I knew how strongly Lauren feels about this. So.
You think she should win?
I do. So here is the thing. I think this is a category that I am really happy no matter which way this swings. There is something I really love about a Jamie Lee Curtis win because I think she has been an incredible ambassador for film these past few years. I think she's actually, I've said this a few times here, that I think Jamie Lee Curtis would make an amazing president of the Academy because
yes, I agree.
There's something about her that is, I think, can kind of celebrate film. She talks about this in the lead up. She's such a cheerleader. And if Jamie Lee Curtis wins an Oscar this year, nothing is going to make me happier. And honestly, I feel pretty similarly about all of these actresses. I don't know. It may be some intense bitterness, still from, I think I just want this recognition for Black Panther as a phenomenon that I feel like it hasn't had yet. And I feel like it didn't win Best Picture. It didn't, Coogler wasn't going to be crowned Best Director for that. And then Chadwick Boseman, granted, he wasn't nominated for this. He was nominated for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, but then he didn't win. And now, so I'm this would feel like justice for me.
Then let's give it visual effects and call it a day.
Yeah. Ryan, do you want to weigh in? I will love you no matter what you pick. I just want you to know that.
I won't.
I think she has a very strong performance. I am not going to be disappointed when she wins, because I think she certainly deserves it. However, mine would be Hong Chow for The Whale. I think that performance just blew me away. I was, I wasn't sure because I know she was a little bit of a surprise to sneak in at the last minute for this nomination, but I thought she was just brilliant in it. So that would be who I would love to see win it. And we're talking about this. Condon would probably be my least.
Oh, that's the one I want to win.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, that's the one I think should win. So, look, if they call any of these names, even Bassett, I will be fine. I think this is the one category where I think every person deserves to be here. But if you ask me personally, who I think deserves it the least. It's Bassett, and who deserves it the most. It's Condon. Okay, I'm sorry, Ryan, back to you.
I think Jamie Lee Curtis as president, she's too much of a wild card.
I know, but that's what I love about her.
I absolutely love it. And yes, I mean, we did an entire episode about Halloween, and I'm going to get up and applaud if she wins that night.
I was listening to an interview with her, and she has made me cry several times during this award season, but she was talking about just like the weight of what it meant to her to hear that she was nominated and what that meant for the legacy of being from two parents who were also Oscar nominated actors. And she started crying, and I'm like driving down 378 and I'm crying, and like I think there could be something really triumphant about that. So you think, now I have a question, of the Banshees of Inisherin performances, which I know we're going to get to, is Carrie Condon's your favorite from the film, or is it just you think out of these actresses that's like the top?
Out of these actresses,
okay,
that's the top.
I was kind of curious. All right. So you think Carrie Condon should win? You think Hong Chow should win? Yeah. I think Angela Bassett should win. You think Angela Bassett's going to win?
I do.
Ryan, do you also think Angela Bassett's going to win?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think everything is trending that way.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think, and again, I still think that there's a lot of unpredictability. Banshees of Inisherin has been out there campaigning pretty hard, so there is a really...
I was gonna say, that would be the one I think that sneaks in there. We haven't even talked about thing for that category. Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Well, yeah, and like Stephanie Hsu, like the problem with both of them being nominated, and I was so excited Jamie Lee Curtis was nominated, but the problem with like her being nominated is unfortunately on that preferential ballot system, I think that's going to cancel each other out.
Yeah, because it's interesting, too, because her performance is probably a meatier performance than even, more important performance than even Jamie Lee Curtis's in the movie.
Okay, I feel like we have some pretty defined opinions about that. Some things I was shocked by, which I like. Keep shocking me. This is good. Let's move to actor in a supporting role. Are there any apparent snubs that we see within this category? This is Brendan Gleeson for The Banshees of Inisherin, Brian Tyree Henry for Causeway, Judd Hirsch for The Fabelmans, Barry Keoghan for The Banshees of Inisherin, and Ke Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Any snubs that we see?
I mean, I personally am surprised that Judd Hirsch is nominated for this movie.
Agreed.
I would have put Paul Dano in this.
Agreed completely.
Yeah.
Totally with you.
Yeah. So
even Seth Rogen.
Yes, Judd Hirsch is great, but again, it feels to me like overall career nomination. He's got a great electric scene in the middle of the movie, and then he's gone. So,
yeah.
It does. I agree with you with that career thing, because it feels like in so many ways, like it's not that he's not dynamic, and it's not, and I agree with you, that's not important. Like you remember that scene, but I'm like, I don't know. I feel like Seth Rogen had to carry so much more, and Paul Dano, who's, pretty much just wakes up on set every day and is incredible, like in everything he's in, but it is surprising that that's the nomination for that film. Any other films that weren't included or performances that weren't included for this category? Or is this solid?
I mean, we're going to talk about this probably a lot. I really loved The Batman. I would have nominated Colin Farrell for Best Supporting Actor for this. He steals the movie. He's electric. Anyway, I'm done.
See, and I would have went Paul Dano as the Riddler.
Either one of them could have worked over Judd Hirsch.
Well, and this is 100% a classic Oscar story, isn't it? Because I wonder if The Batman comes out even 6 months later, if this is a different conversation. Because, I mean, it's not that it's unnominated, but I wonder if that makes the push for some of these acting pieces. I wonder if the Banshees of Inisherin release would have conflicted with Colin Farrell being recognized, but I do wonder if Paul Dano gets nominated, and you then get to have the wonderful story. It's like, he's in The Fabelmans, but also this is like a performance. But I agree with you, Colin Farrell's great.
Colin Farrell is. So you're pretty excited about the show?
Damn right.
Yeah.
So
can I throw out one name?
100%.
Because we're going to talk about this movie a lot more in another category, but I just want to say Mark Maron.
Oh, for To Leslie?
Yeah.
I liked him, but he was Mark Maron.
Still Mark Maron. Okay, fair. That's very fair.
I'm gonna throw something out. And it's not because I think it has the most weight of these performances, but I think it would have been fun. Val Kilmer in Top Gun Maverick. Come on.
That would have been.
I know it's not. I know 100% that would have been a Judd Hirsch effect, the exact thing we're talking about. It's going to be a career thing, but it would have been fun.
I mean, it's a powerful performance. I mean,
I would have been upset.
Right.
I'm also going to throw out one more, and this is a film that I think is critically underrepresented at this award ceremony. Steven Yeun in Nope.
Oh, I can see that. Wait a minute. I actually thought of another one.
Oh, go for it.
Steven Yeun in Nope is brilliant, and I think I just lost my other thought. No, I didn't. Another movie that's criminally underrated this year, The Menu. I would have nominated Ralph Fiennes for Best Supporting Actor.
Yes.
I can see that.
I thought he was disturbing. So.
And not in the same way that he's been disturbing before. Like, the guy has played a lot of villains, but this was this was different.
This was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah. So, we were talking about Oscar night snacks, and he was like, we should have s'mores. And I'm like, that's messed up, man. So, looking at this category, are there any, like, obviously, I think we all had some pretty hot takes for actress in a supporting role. What are we thinking for actor in a supporting role? Anthony, who are you hoping to see win, my friend?
I mean, I think there's one of two scenarios on who's going to win. Mm-hmm. There's the one that has been winning everywhere, which is Short Round. Ke Huy Quan, right? That's how we say his name. Dana from the Goonies. You know,
yes.
He'll always be Dana to me. Dana is who I want to win, and who I think should win. But Brendan Gleeson has won on occasion. He won at the BAFTAs. Yep. If he wins, I will not be upset. But I want this to be Ke Huy Quan. I really do. Just the different levels of characters that he goes through in those 2 hours are just fantastic. So that's it.
No, I well said, because I think there's we've seen, like, at this point we've seen all of the nominees in this. Brian Tyree Henry is the best part of Causeway. When he is on screen, it is impossible not to get entirely lost in his performance. Like, he is great in that film. Judd Hirsch, as we said, he's got that one great scene, and obviously the entirety of the cast of Banshees of Inisherin is, like, incredible. I think like there is a story here with this return to acting. With, yes, he's been winning everywhere, but damn it, don't you just want to see him have the Oscar and have that moment and what that means? And it would just be incredible. And I think if that does get to happen, if the voting body does the right thing for this incredibly dynamic performance, and I think a performance that, like, within the sci-fi realm is often not, like, super valued, but is seemingly has gotten a lot of attention this year, like, the ability to have to play so many parts. Oh man, that is going to be an Oscars classic moment. Ryan?
I mean, this show is built on the Goonies, so that's already going to lead. I think to me, there's two. I mean, I agree with you. The Brian Tyree Henry thing, deserving nomination, and more people should check out Causeway because it is a really, really good movie. Probably not to the level of a complete Oscar film, a Best Picture, or anything like that, but just a really good film to watch. So I'm glad at least get some recognition there. For me, there's two. And that's who I want to win and should win, which is Ke as well. I agree with you, Lauren. If he gets to win, we are going to have a special Oscar moment. Mm-hmm. And I think it's not going to be put upon. It is going to be naturally, because that man is he's appreciating the journey he's been on. Lauren, you and I have been talking. We've had a lot this weekend with we've our nephews, our seniors, and wrestling, and we've been talking a lot with my sister Jolene about our nephew Phoenix and journeys and things like that, and where is success, and the fights that you have to have, and sometimes when you think you're at your best, your most success, that maybe that's building you up for later, and Ke in all of his interviews has been really spouting that of a man that, like, 40 years later is finally getting the recognition for his craft and everything he's put into it, and it's a beautiful, beautiful story. So I'm really hoping we get that. If he weren't to win, my next pitch would be Barry Keoghan.
Yes.
He is just phenomenal in that.
I did love him.
And
heartbreaking.
He actually won the BAFTA. I was thinking about that. He won the festival.
And his story is another one that I just think is worth talking about. I mean, this is a gentleman that, had a very tough first early years and jumped through about 15 different foster homes to now be an Oscar nominee at a young age too. Yeah. To battle through. His grandmother and his aunt ended up taking him in and raising him. Now he spoke very highly of the families that he had, and but a really inspirational story as well. So if he can't win, then but I think Barry Keoghan's going to have more opportunities down the line.
Yeah, if he teams, I think, like, there's a team up here where if he continues working with Martin McDonagh, he got an incredible performance out of him, but he's truly heartbreaking in that movie. Like, it is, It is, yeah, it's incredible.
So I'll say this to you. So he's an actor that I completely have done a 180 on because early in his career I was just not in I didn't really get it. I'd heard he was going to be the lead in Y: The Last Man, and I was complaining to Lauren about it. All this stuff, and then we see him in The Eternals, which was not a film that I enjoyed. But he stole the movie to me in the brief portions that he was in, and then obviously this performance. So, yeah.
All right, this moves us into actor in a leading role. This category. So we've got, I'm going to read off the nominees, and then I do want to talk snubs because I'm curious to hear your thoughts. So we've got Austin Butler for Elvis, Colin Farrell for The Banshees of Inisherin, Brendan Fraser for The Whale, Paul Mescal for Aftersun, and Bill Nighy for Living. Any snubs, apparent snubs, or things that you even just hope had been nominated in Best Acting?
I mean, I will say right off the bat, I don't understand Bill Nighy being in this category.
Career performance.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And I'm all for that. Like, I know there's moments that we should have that, but I just didn't see it at all. Like, I couldn't even find all right, we're inching it in, but yeah, I agree with you. That, to me, I don't see any other reason than that. So that's my hot take with this.
That's a fair take. Any other like apparent snubs or things that you do, like people you don't think should be in this, or people that should have snuck in?
I thought he was good. I do want to say that, but when I saw him getting nominated for things, I'm like, all right, pump the brakes. Right. But I am a little surprised that Paul Mescal was nominated. I thought he was great, but I also don't think he did enough. I didn't think I got as much of a character from him as I wanted. If I were in control of this category, there are two people I would have nominated in place of Paul Mescal and Bill Nighy. One is Jeremy Pope for The Inspection. Watch it. He's incredible. And I did just watch this movie today, but I had been hearing great things about it, and he is nominated for a SAG. I would have nominated Adam Sandler for Hustler. Hustle.
Yeah.
Right on.
I really would.
Right on.
I truly think he should be nominated. So he shouldn't win. We're going to talk about who I think should win in a minute. But,
Yeah, I'm feeling you on that. I think he should have way been more in the conversation. Like, I know there was a little bit, but just not enough. What about Gabriel Abella? Is that how you pronounce it?
For the Fabelmans?
Yeah,
I guess I could have seen that.
Yeah, because I do think that's like we kind of neglect like the fact that kid has to play young Spielberg and do it well like the entire movie. Like it is one of those performances that like I think is easy to kind of sleep on, and we shouldn't, and it's great, but I do think there's a way in which like people are kind of forgetting this. Brian, do you have any other snubs?
I just have one wild card. It's Daniel Gimenez Cacho for Bardo.
Yeah.
All right, you both do not agree.
No,
I appreciate the pity. Moving on.
No. I don't think you're incorrect. I'm gonna add one. And I have one snub that really bothers me, but it's because I will be out here in front of the Dolby Theater screaming about this for the rest of the year. Diego Calva should have been nominated for Babylon, and the lack of representation of Babylon at the Oscars is a bunch of bullshit.
So I didn't like the movie.
Okay, that's fair.
But I thought he was the best part of the movie. To be honest,
He's awesome.
I really like this guy's going to be a star. Like if he had been nominated, I'd have been like awesome. But
yeah. Here's the thing I'll say about Babylon. Like I would not recommend the movie to anyone, and I do not think it's for everyone. I really enjoyed it and walked out and was like, oh, damn, that's a movie, and, like, really enjoyed myself. I'm not shocked that it's not nominated, but I would have loved to see him in here. I think you could have also had a supporting for Brad Pitt again. I think that could be fun, but I think the Diego Calva thing would have been a really good time, or a nice way of, like, recognizing that film without having to really commit to those nominations. All right. Now that we're all off our pedestals and we don't seem to agree with anything each other has just said, let's talk.
I do have a question for Anthony, though, because I will say this, and I'll let Lauren talk more about the performance itself, because I know how much she enjoyed it, and I agree with her. Paul Mescal, do you think it was a lead or a supporting?
Oh. I actually think it's supporting. That's the thing.
I do agree with you.
And I really liked the movie a lot. I really did.
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, like, it would have made my honorable mentions for, like, my favorite movies of last year.
Yeah.
I just don't... That movie is from the perspective of the daughter, you know, and he's just kind of there. Like, we learn glimpses into his future, like, you know, through different scenes, but I just never felt like an arc or anything, you know? It just, like, at least to me, like, I thought he was good, but it was one of those things where I saw the movie after hearing him be nominated for things, and I'm like,
Interesting. Okay.
he's nominated? I wouldn't have done that, but, you know.
Yeah, and that's always tough, too, because it, like, colors everything. I'm going to be honest, like, it... All right, hold on. I'm going to ask you guys first. Ryan, who are you hoping wins in Best Acting? Or who do you think will win? However you want to handle this. And if it's the same person, that's fine, too.
This stresses me out.
You'll notice I'm putting myself last because I'm stressed.
I want to say, when you get to there, I will say anything you say about the Paul Mescal performance, I more than likely agree with you.
Okay.
But I will say that I do not think that it should be a winning, performance necessarily. That's the only thing. For me, it's Brendan Fraser for The Whale. I think...
I can't tell if Anthony's really mad at you or really excited.
I'm sorry. Continue.
So, anytime I hear about an Aronofsky film, I get excited, but I also know Aronofsky's a director that I go... I loved many of his films, and I've hated some of his films, so I don't know what I'm gonna get. And then, there were kind of much like you. Actually, we didn't see it till after the nomination. We didn't see it till after heard a lot of different takes on it. So I went in very skeptical. But I will say, I just... that performance is far beyond makeup and prosthetics. I think he finds a nuanced way of pain, and it is just a heart-wrenching and also somewhat inspiring performance. It's a really incredible balance that he finds in that, and I just think, to me, that is the winner far and away, my personal opinion, of who should win. And I really hope will win, so. Yeah.
I want to go last on this.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
So this, I have a tough time with this category because, all right, so I have like life-size cardboard cutout of Colin Farrell in my home. Like, it's
pretty cool.
Yeah. It's behind my bar cart. Our bar cart. But okay, so this is where I'm
glad you made that distinction.
Why don't you think I, own the bar cart? Yeah. So this is, I think, a really stacked category in a lot of ways, and I feel like this in some ways is one of the more unstable portions of the Oscars, because I think there's been this presumptive thing with Brendan Fraser, and look, this is the thing I'll say. In many, many, many ways, for many reasons, all of the ones that you just said, I want to see Brendan Fraser win for The Whale. I think it's an incredible performance. It's one of those performances that was so built up, and by the time we saw it, it was so within, the cultural ether to be talking about Brendan Fraser in this role. And I'm like, how does it live up to that? And it did. And it was, and I walked out going, the Rick from The Mummy, he knows what's up. This is a performance. I will say, I love Paul Mescal's performance in After Sun, and I would nominate him all day, every day. I think... The supporting thing, I think, is actually really interesting. I think it would have probably even been stronger if thought of as a supporting performance, but he, wrecked me. And, the ending moment when, David Bowie is playing and he's dancing, I was wrecked by the end of this film. I actually texted one of our friends, I texted Ryan Hill, and I blamed him personally because it was the number 2 on his, best, top 10 of the year. And I was like, it's your fault I watched this movie because I was wrecked by it. But I will say this, I think Brendan Fraser will win. I think he should win. But I want to see a Colin Farrell win here. I really like that performance. I think it is hard for someone that movie star attractive to play that desperate and sad and pathetic so well. Just when he goes and he was am I dull? It's just, I don't know. I write it down for that performance. I really, really love Colin Farrell. All right, I'm done talking. Anthony, go.
I might talk for 10 minutes.
Go for it. This is a safe space.
I've never been more passionate about an Oscar category in my life, and I've never wanted to win more in my life. So I'm going to start by saying, of this list, I think Colin Farrell is the strongest actor, okay, in general. And everything you said, the man is... He's got a look about him. He's kind of rugged. He's a sexy dude. All right. And he played dull and boring so well.
Yes.
Austin Butler played one of the greatest rock stars of all time, and was incredible in that. And they've both been winning in a lot of places. Having said that, Brendan Fraser should fucking... So.
You're good.
Okay. Maybe cut that. Having
We
said,
get one an episode.
Yeah, we get one episode. Those are like
PG-13
podcast.
I'm so sorry. Having said that, Brendan Fraser should absolutely win this thing. All right, and here's why I'm concerned he's not going to. We're going to play some Oscar history. Now, I hate doing this because technically we should be not judging these films against the past. We should be judging them against the other films and performances. Okay, but this is a trend I've noticed when it comes to career comebacks. They don't win the Oscar. Yeah. It doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't.
We're going to go back to Darren Aronofsky, 2008, when Mickey Rourke was nominated for The Wrestler against Sean Penn for Milk. Mickey Rourke was better.
Yep.
Sean Penn won. It's a question of more acting against better acting. It's the flashier performance won. Okay? Same thing in 2014 when Michael Keaton for Birdman lost to Eddie Redmayne for The Theory of Everything, as I like to call it. So, the more acting versus better acting. More acting won the Oscars. The flashier performance. The better actor lost, which was Michael Keaton. Okay? In my opinion. So, if we take Brendan Fraser out of this equation, Colin Farrell versus Austin Butler is more acting versus better acting. Better acting is Colin Farrell versus Austin Butler with more acting. Either one could win. Brendan Fraser acted more and better. Yeah. All right? Yep. That's the simple thing. Now, I don't know if he'll win because, I mean, you know, I know Banshees is creeping up and that has more of an international feel to it probably than something like The Whale. And I don't want to root against who I think is the best actor on this bunch, which is Colin Farrell and probably my favorite actor of this list. But Brendan Fraser gave the performance of the year. I don't care what anyone says. You can agree with me or you can be wrong. This is how I offend people and lose my audience. That is the best performance of the year. Like the Chadwick Boseman thing. If he does not win, the Oscars got it wrong. It is as simple as that.
Are you going to burn the house down? Because I threatened to burn the house down.
I mean, maybe my car.
Okay.
So I like to have a place to live.
Yeah, that's fine.
You know?
That's fine.
Again, many times, thank you both for not burning our house down.
But I've never, ever in my life wanted an Academy Award win more than this. And I saw this movie before I saw this at TIFF, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there was a little bit of buzz behind it at the time. I knew we got, like, a standing ovation, I think, at Venice, like, right before that. But I saw the movie. He broke me. I walked out saying, this man deserves an Oscar. And then I've seen the rest of the year. I've seen Banshees. I've seen Elvis and all that. And I stand by my statement. Now knowing that he's been getting all these accolades. And this is like the year of 2003 when it was Sean Penn for Mystic River against Bill Murray for Lost in Translation against Johnny Depp for Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. They all ended up winning at different places, right? At the Golden Globes, Farrell and Butler won. But if you know Brendan Fraser's history with the Globes, he was never going to win there.
No, he wasn't. Yeah.
And he said he would never show up anyway. Yeah. He won at the Critics' Choice Awards, but Austin Butler won at the BAFTAs. So tonight, the SAG Awards, I'm very curious to know what happens. I think if Brendan Fraser wins here, Colin Farrell is out of the question. I think this comes down to Fraser versus Butler, personally. If Farrell wins, three-way tie again. If Butler wins, he's getting the Oscar. My own opinion. But it should be Brendan Fraser because I'm correct. Thank you.
I would like to redact everything I just said and just, you're right.
You went over. Yeah.
So here's the thing. I remember you coming out of TIFF and us talking about it and you talking about that performance. And I was like, I remember being kind of gobsmacked and thinking, oh shit, I gotta pay attention to this Brendan Fraser performance? Okay, because you seemed really moved by it, just as you still are now. And I agree with you on all fronts that I think if this wins, I think it speaks to it's better acting, it's more acting, he's doing something really special. And I don't think a performance that's, terribly easy and I don't think is, super attractive and you probably don't want on your reel because it's not, it is a performance that is an actor having to be very giving and egoless, really about what this performance is going to be. I think, one of the things I find interesting because right now, and this was the Eddie Redmayne thing, because they credit why Eddie Redmayne won is because he started... His campaign for Theory of Everything was everywhere. He was at every screening, at every party. Eddie Redmayne went for it. The thing is, Brendan Fraser's been getting after it because he is showing up to screenings of The Mummy. He just did at the Arrow Theater in Los Angeles. It was a night of Brendan Fraser. So it was The Whale, followed by a Q&A with Brendan Fraser, followed by an introduction to the 1999 cinematic masterpiece, The Mummy, starring Rachel Weisz and Brendan Fraser. He did an intro to that, and then they played School Ties, and then they played Blast from the Past. It was a night of
Sounds
Brendan.
like just a great night.
It's like a great night.
I want to go. Can we do this again?
Right? If only one of us curated. But
Fraser Fridays.
Fraser Friday, yes. So like it's this. I feel like there's this trajectory and this momentum, and maybe because it's something that like the people are kind of not controlling, but are dominating like the cultural discourse about this Oscar season or of our age, so therefore have like a particular nostalgia point with Brendan Fraser. I don't know, Anthony. You won me over.
He also is just such a likable person. Everyone who knows him likes him. And like, look, he also was just, and maybe, if you know anything about his history and all that, like, I just felt all of that in his performance.
Yes.
He was broken and vulnerable.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Like, literally the sentence where he's just like, I need to know that I did something good with my life through tears. Like, that alone, that sentence is an Academy Award winning
Right.
So,
Yeah.
all right.
I want to, and another one just because it pairs with our last episode, and Stallone losing to Mark Rylance, to me, falls in the same category that you're talking about, of resurgence that, for whatever reason, falls at the Oscars. I would like to at least, and we have two friends that we watch the Oscars with, who I know are very big fans of Austin Butler, so let me at least, since we've kind of passed over him a little bit, I will take...
I won't lie, I was like, the Calivotos are going to listen, they're going to be so pissed.
And shout out to them, because they are really going through the Oscar films, and and it's always so much fun to watch the show with them and everything like that. But I do want to say, I do think that Austin Butler has, and not that either of you were saying he didn't, but he gave a really amazing performance. Something that could have been a little more caricature, that I think he found a lot of kind of new to this, this individual, this personality that we all kind of think we know and we've seen. So I thought that he just did give a really deserving performance for an Oscar.
Yeah.
Just unfortunately, he's in this with Brendan Fraser, which we all just think is, again, just far and above, in this category. And I will say that if I were to have somebody that Brendan Fraser were not to win, I will say that I actually think Austin Butler should win over Colin Farrell.
That's fair. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, if they called either of their names, I didn't think I'd be upset. But after I saw Elvis, I was like, this guy could win the Oscar.
Right.
I did. And
Yeah.
honestly, I'm going to compare this to Bohemian Rhapsody. I thought his performance was better than Rami Malek's.
100%.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Because that was a caricature.
Yes.
Like, that was, there was
Exactly.
depth in this, you know? Like Elvis had emotions and feelings.
I came into that movie, I got emotional that I did not expect, because
that last scene.
really, I don't mean this, I wasn't really an Elvis fan, I don't really, so I did not expect to come out of there emotional, which, again, is a really, but I do have a kind of a question for you guys, because this is an interesting, do you give more credit to somebody that is taking an acting position of a real life individual, or do you think there's more credit to somebody that gives an amazing performance of an original character? What kind, because one we can look at and go, oh, what does that compare to? But which do you guys have a way that you lean on that?
I mean, I don't think I have an answer. Okay, I'll give it to you. Austin Butler, within 2 minutes, I thought I was watching Elvis Presley. I never felt that with Rami Malek.
Right.
To me, that was just Rami Malek doing an impression. Renee Zellweger, when she played Judy Garland, I thought that was Judy Garland. I just think it's how well you can disappear into the character, whether or not that is a real person or a fake person, that's it to me, so.
I think it's that the performance has to have gravitas. I don't think you can watch it and just go, oh, that's a really cool imitation. I think when it's that, it feels like, okay, next. I'm not, and I think the Oscars have a strong tradition of kind of rewarding biopics and those performances, but I agree with you. I think the Judy performance is actually really comparable here of, looking at an actress who really disappeared into this persona and was able to give you the emotional weight to understand this is a three-dimensional human being. And I think Austin Butler does this. I also think someone else who did this, which is going to dovetail into the next part of our conversation, is Michelle Williams in My Week with Marilyn gave a really layered Marilyn Monroe performance.
I loved that performance.
That performance was really fantastic. So now let's talk about actress in a leading role.
Oh, this should be fun.
I'm very excited for this one. I have lots of thoughts too.
Well, and this is, for those of you who are listening, if you're not terribly aware of the kind of drama surrounding this, we're not going to recap it here for you. There are plenty of resources online to go and look, but certainly you're probably going to hear us reference to the Andrea Riseborough performance because it's been, surrounded in so much controversy. But the nominees in this category are Cate Blanchett for Tar, Ana de Armas for Blonde, Andrea Riseborough for To Leslie, Michelle Williams for The Fabelmans, Michelle Yeoh for Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. What particular snubs do we see? Because this is a category of all of the categories that has been most talked about with snubs.
Here's my 2 snubs on this, because obviously there's 2 major snubs on this that will get talked about here. So these are my side snubs. Because one thing I want to say really quick is, I think what's going to, unfortunately, with this Andrea Riseborough quote-unquote controversy, that what we're missing is the fact that this year was loaded with just amazing female performances across the board. The fact that we are saying, how many people should be fitting in these 5, is because we didn't feel that way quite the same way in some of these other categories on the male side. But I do think that that's something that should really be, talked about more. But my 2 would be Mia Goth, who I believe for Pearl should have been more.
Still gotta watch that and X.
And Pearl, yes. I also really think Frankie Carrillo for After Sun should have been in the conversation.
Yeah.
I think I will tell you this, if you do not know, I am very harsh about kid actors.
Me too.
Oh, good. All right.
Yeah.
So you're both monsters.
They're the worst. It's funny. I watched Baz Luhrmann's Australia, and I was like, I don't like this kid. I gotta do that for 3 hours.
Yeah.
The daughter in Fatal Attraction, I'm like, oh god,
yes.
This kid's annoying. Okay,
If I think a performance should get this,
Sorry.
I think it deserves to be talked about. So those would be my 2 snubs outside of who obviously we'll be talking about.
Anthony, any snubs for you for this category?
I feel like I just alienated the fan base that is children.
You're with me. You're
all right.
No.
Yeah.
He needs an alliance on this.
All right, okay. Well, the 2 major there are 2 snubs, and they're the major ones we're probably going to talk about. I am surprised Daniel Detweiler was not nominated for Till, and really surprised Viola Davis was not nominated for The Woman King, but also surprised that movie wasn't nominated for far more things. But yeah, that's it. Those are my surprise snubs. I don't think I have anything other than that, really. So.
Well, and I think there's, certainly that's been the conversation, right? And I think it's there was this presumptive thing that happened, and then you have campaigning, and then you have particular coalitions amongst really well-connected actresses, and unfortunately a pretty well-crafted script that was being repeated all throughout Twitter and at these screenings with the Andrea Riseborough performance, and I think that's where that gets kind of mired in controversy, and I think the thing that I know we all feel is that it's not that she's not deserving to be nominated, it's just this category got kind of messy. So I will affirm already what you're saying, which is obviously the 2 snubs that are the most glaring, and unfortunately, it makes the efforts of the Academy to change their narrative in a more future-looking way, it makes it seem false, because this felt like these were 2, I think the conversation around, they were presumed and that's what ended up failing it, it's that's actually a problem within itself. Yeah. The presumption should not mean that they end up not getting nominated. That doesn't make sense. It's a bad system. For my money, I agree with you entirely, obviously, the Mia Goth thing, and this one, and look, I won't, obviously, my love for this is pretty clear. Keke Palmer, I think, is incredible in Nope, and I think it's a performance that I really enjoyed. I don't think, the 2 performances that are probably in the lead in this category, I don't think it necessarily stands up to that, but maybe it's just kind of the desire for, hey, Academy, you have a horror problem, you've got to deal with it, the fact that, this was, a golden year of horror films being released, and you're just being what? Huh? There were horror films out? And it seems like just this really odd blind spot within
Amber Midthunder should be in this conversation too.
100% for Prey. And so those are kind of my snubs. I'm actually gonna start this off. I think we focus a lot on Andrea Riseborough. We really kind of zero in on this performance. We all 3 of us have seen it. Andrea Riseborough gives an incredibly nuanced performance. I think to pass it off as something that's we've seen the kind of the drunk woman's storyline play out before. I actually don't think it is that at all. I think she does something different with it. I think brings a very different personality to it. I'm gonna start off negative before I go into my positive. The performance within this that I am not understanding, and someone please explain it to me, is I don't understand why Ana de Armas is nominated for Blonde. It is the nomination that I enjoy most films. Like, I give everything pretty well a chance, and I was just... And here's the thing. I love Ana de Armas. I think she is charming and effervescent. I have seen her in things and went, wow, what a movie star. Like, and what talent. And she's incredible. And I don't know... I mean, I blame the filmmaker who... I can't even utter my complete thoughts about him because we already had our one F word of the show, so therefore I cannot completely get into how angry I am at that film in general. So I feel like that's incredibly negative, but for me to say, without a doubt, like, hand over fist, I think this is Michelle Yeoh's performance. I love Everything Everywhere All at Once. When we saw that in March, the first thing I said to him was, give it everything right now. It deserves it. I'm so glad that this is hung on because, as we all know, films that come out that early in the year, oftentimes by Oscars, are neglected. And I'm so glad that this isn't being neglected. And I know that, obviously there's another performance in here, which I'm assuming one of you is going to handle, that's probably like within the top spot. But what Michelle Yeoh does is like, it takes this very quiet portion of a person's life, this very like quiet look at someone who is just trying to kind of get by, and then all of these like crazy things happen and she has to exist in all of these multitudes. And I feel like it's such a meditation on how females should be represented in cinema, like within their multitudes, and she does it so well. Oh, please, Michelle Yeoh, win on Oscar night. I'll be so happy. I'm done. One of you. Go.
Can I ask you a question,
Yeah.
Anthony, really quick? Because I agree with Lauren. Like, we both very much dislike Blonde for 1,000 different reasons. What's your take on, to put you on the spot?
I watched it one day on Netflix. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes. It took me 5 hours to watch.
Yeah.
I didn't dislike her in the movie. I thought she was pretty good. The movie is atrocious for so many reasons. Like, why does that need to exist, especially as it is? I also just don't like Andrew Dominik as a filmmaker. I did not like Killing Me Softly. I didn't like his Nick Cave films. I think the assassination of Jesse James by the Count Robert Ford is okay. But she also got nominated for a Razzie, I think, for this film. Blonde did, at least. So, it feels weird when you do the same movie,
Yeah.
But, yeah, okay, this is what I'll say. There are 5 nominees on this list. I would have nominated 3 of them.
I'm totally with you, because I have a feeling I know who you're taking out.
Do you?
Yeah.
Who's the other one?
Michelle Williams.
That is a correct statement, because she should be in supporting.
Absolutely.
So, yes.
You are right.
Yes.
Yeah. And I would have put in the 2 I said that were snubbed. It should have been Detweiler and Davis.
100%.
Yep.
That's the other thing that I was very upset about this Andrea Wright, because she's getting so much about this, and it was like, no, there were 2 other people that shouldn't have been nominated.
Riceborough should have been there.
Yes.
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 So,
And I think that's the thing is, like, as we highlight, like, Michelle Williams in My Week with Marilyn, that's an incredibly deserving performance. That's a lead performance. What she does in this is not a lead performance. She disappears. She goes bye-bye. Like, this is not, it's not lead. And I love Michelle Williams.
Right.
But she should be
It's
there.
completely.
So for your money, who would you want to see win, or who do you think should win?
all right. So, the person I think will win is Cate Blanchett, because she has won everywhere else.
Say it ain't so, Anthony.
Cate Blanchett is probably my favorite actress on this list. I think is probably the Meryl Streep of her generation. And I actually am someone who I don't like the whole they've already won a bunch of Oscars, they shouldn't win anymore. I don't believe that. I believe you should win however many times you're great. Having said that, I'm about to be hypocritical because the person who I want to win is Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Because Cate Blanchett has too many. But what I actually think is going to happen is, if you've been paying attention, Cate Blanchett has actually been championing Andrea Riseborough at a lot of different award things where she's won and stuff. I think what's going to happen is Cate Blanchett is actually going to... I think a vote for Andrea Riseborough is technically a vote for Michelle Yeoh. I think people are going to vote for Riseborough over Cate Blanchett because they're both like Academy performances, whereas Everything Everywhere is not like an Oscar performance. It's just awesome. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, we're showcasing all of Michelle Yeoh's talent, but like, if you put those 3 together and say, give me the 2 that feel like Oscar performances, Michelle Yeoh's is not the one I would pick, but she's the person I want to win. I really hope she does. Yeah, so Academy voters vote for Riseborough so that Michelle Yeoh will win, because I think Michelle Yeoh with that preferential ballot is going to get a lot of like number 2s and 3s, and I think that's going to help her get to number 1.
Might get over the top.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
Like, again, it's just kind of, you two are so, like, you guys do, you're doing this show today. You guys are going to do another show with Arts Quest.
We'll have to play dumb, but I've never heard your answers.
I may go chaotic and change all of my answers for the show. Just so you're sitting there going, what?
Yeah.
I did appreciate last year Lauren causing some chaos. I like she could put a tie up at one point.
Yeah, you guys got so mad at me.
You guys got so mad. But I guess my kind of question to you is, like, the funny thing about all of these, we always talk about, right? It's so subjective. Like, all the three of us will go, this is by far the best performance, right? But at the end of the day, it's all kind of art and it's subjective. But
except Fraser, that one is correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed. But I guess my question is, with the vote, like, do you guys think that kind of what you're talking about, like, well, Cate Blanchett has had a bunch, like, do you think any of that should come into it, or do you look at everything from we should only be looking at these 5 performances for this year?
Yep.
That one, but I'm hoping that their resistance to the first thing you brought up will work in Michelle Yeoh's favor. So like Brendan Fraser's,
kind of career and everything that's happened should not play into a factor of somebody giving him a vote come Oscar night. As opposed to Austin Butler, who's a little more new on the scene in regards to the Hollywood, big budget film.
I mean, it shouldn't, but it will.
Right, the human portion of all of us, there's no way it doesn't come in.
Right. And it's unfortunate because, like, I do feel some of Fraser's tragic past might actually give him the win,
right?
And that's not why I want him to win.
Right, I get
sure.
you.
Yeah, you want it to be objective, but art is subjective. So I think like the problem that comes into play is that and this is the thing, and maybe it's because I'm arrogant and I feel my feelings deeply, but like to me, I'm like, no, just objectively, Michelle Yeoh's performance is better than Cate Blanchett's, but I also don't think that's how most people vote. I think they vote storylines. I think they vote, legacy. I think they vote, based upon allegiances, whether real or imagined, that like potentially happen within like the Academy.
See, I think in the Academy Awards though, sometimes that like a little bit of what Anthony was saying earlier, and unfortunately, I think a little bit of what happened to Chadwick Boseman's, win on, against Anthony Hopkins.
Why you gotta bring up the things that hurt me?
Right? Because I mean, everything told you we should vote for Chadwick Boseman. Not only it deserved it. Like I'm with you guys both that it completely deserved it. But there's for every reason. So I just feel like for whatever reason, it seems like the Golden Globes gets a little more of that, but the Academy Awards seem to sometimes start to not play into some of those storylines as much.
I don't want to get off what we're focusing on. But
Sorry,
I think the reason that Boseman lost at the Oscars, honestly, is because Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is such an American story, and I think a lot of the international voters just couldn't connect, quite frankly. At least that's what I'm telling myself to put myself to sleep at.
So we can still enjoy this season comfortably. But it's tough in this category because I think, well, Brian, what do you think before? You haven't. No. You're about to say something I don't like.
I really want Michelle Yeoh to win, and I think I have a hard time with it because it comes back to the question I'm asking. Which performance do I think is the Oscar-winning performance, or which performance do I think is the, this amazing, kind of special performance on its own? And listen, I'm very torn on how I feel about Tar altogether. I did not necessarily love that film.
I didn't like it at all.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Because everyone's out here saying, Tar, and I'm like, someone please find me a map. And I like films, but I did not like that.
I despised that.
Oh!
Yes, this is the first time I'm saying this, because usually I have to introduce the film. And I'm like, hey, enjoy Cate Blanchett's amazing performance. Right. God, I didn't like that movie. And it's just disappointing because the director, Todd Field, he made 2 films before this, In the Bedroom and Little Children. And I think both of those are incredible. And then I watched this, and it's 2 hours and 40 minutes of just pretentious garbage. And the first 45 minutes is like one long take, and I'm just like, God, put me out of my misery. So, and then it ends, and I'm like, what the F? I said F, not the F word. We got the one, I used it. What the cluck? So, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't like Tar. she is the best part of the movie. To me, the acting transcends the material. That's it. And I realize what you just said technically does make me a hypocrite in the sense that I'm trying to say the best performance should win, and then I technically said maybe Kate Blanchett gave a better performance than Michelle Yeoh, but I still want Michelle Yeoh to win.
Yeah, I mean, that's who I'm hoping wins, and I do think it's a deserving performance. Yeah. I think it's tough because Kate Blanchett gives a really great performance and powerful performance of a character that I just despise for 2.5 hours or whatever we had to sit in it. I just hate that character. And it's a credit to Kate Blanchett, and I do hope that, again, Michelle Yeoh, because the human part of me was... Yeah, Kate Blanchett, she's had her moment. She'll have more moments.
Nobody's here for a storyline where Kate Blanchett wins another Oscar
and I'm
this year.
I am the guy in the room that's not a Meryl Streep fan, but I am a Kate Blanchett fan. So, I just think, and I agree with you, I think she is probably maybe the best actress we have today.
What are we talking about? We don't say the Meryl Streep thing out loud.
It's like me telling about puppies.
Yes.
You don't like puppies? No. I can't do this podcast.
But, sorry, I got a long-winded way as I try to move us forward.
You seem like someone who likes joy. I assume you liked puppies.
You don't like to smile? Are the cuddles too much?
I'm here for the chaos. You are
really here for the chaos.
No, I that's where I kind of fall. I feel like we're going to probably see Kate Blanchett win, but it would be really nice to see Michelle Yeoh win.
Dude, if Andrea Riseborough wins, people are going to lose their damn minds.
Honestly,
that room's going to go real weird real quick.
I'd kind of be okay with it.
Yeah, right.
Because you didn't lose to Blanchett. So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
This is what the Oscars need. They need these types of moments, not the crap that happened last year. They need these chaotic moments of just surprise too. The Andrea Riseborough thing. But going back to that, I do want to say, with you guys both, I think it's a really good performance and a better movie than it got credit for. And it's a shame that some really underhanded things had to be done to even get it on the radar, which is just it's one of these situations that it's the system's a little broke because you see both sides of it, and we see this unfortunate fallout for them to get get in there. Unfortunately, other people had to suffer that didn't deserve it, and that's the kind of thing that stinks about that whole situation.
Can we move to directing? I'm feeling low, friends.
Want me to get angry? I'm about to get angry.
I'm feeling, because here's the thing, I don't think anything we're saying here is incorrect, but I just want to live in my fantasy world where Michelle Yeoh is going to win. So let's talk directing. So we have Martin McDonagh for The Banshees of Inisherin. We have Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans. Todd Field for Tar. And Ruben Östlund for A Triangle of Sadness. Are there any particular snubs, Ryan, that you want to talk about within this category? Go for it.
This absolutely. Again, I will say this really quick. It needs to be a 10 nomination category. They have to go to that going forward. But Charlotte Wells, Sarah Polley, Gina Prince Bythewood, all absolutely should be in this category.
Yeah, totally robbed.
And I would take 2 out very quickly. And I have a feeling Anthony may yell at me about 1.
Yep, I know he's going to.
Who are your 2?
Is it Östlund? Is that how we pronounce
it? I can't use my... This is the Thomas Vinterberg thing all over again for another round.
100%.
Wait, who's your other one you would take out?
Todd Field for Tar?
What? No, I'm never taking out Fidelio. I'm never taking out... Todd Field was in Eyes Wide Shut. So, yeah. So, no, actually, I would take out Martin McDonagh.
Oh, okay. I thought you were about to say Spielberg, and I was about to kick you out of the damn house.
No.
Martin McDonagh, that's a tough one, Toss. That's a
I know.
All right. Any snubs for you, Anthony, in directing?
Yeah, I mean, Gina Prince Bythewood is one I would have put on here for certain. I am surprised Sarah Polley was not nominated. Having said that, I'm thrilled Ruben Östlund, however. I didn't think he would be. I love Triangle of Sadness. The thing I will say is, Tar, I don't think should be on here. Todd Field should not be on here. I am kind of on the fence about McDonagh for Banshees, because to me it's more of a writer's movie than a director's movie, you know?
100%.
Yeah, this is fair.
So yes, and I loved Banshees. I just want to say that. I don't think he's undeserving, but I would on this list keep Everything Everywhere, Fabelmans, and Triangle of Sadness, and I would put Gina Prince Bythewood and Sarah Polley on this list. So.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I do want to say, obviously, Banshees of Inisherin is one of my favorite films of the year, but, like, yeah, to me, it's the, the landscapes, it's the writing, and it's the acting, nothing, I mean, he's got to put that all together.
Yeah.
So, I'm sitting here.
But those are nice landscapes. Too bad a director wasn't involved.
That's fair. That's fair.
No, I agree with all of. I echo all of the directing snubs that you're talking about. It's another one of those years where, like, I'll say the very obvious thing here. You have another year with a particular shutout, and this feels. It feels like there are 2 to maybe 3 people that should not be in this conversation that are, by virtue of the fact of, I don't know. I don't have an answer for it. I don't know why a Todd Field gets in and a Sarah Polley doesn't. Charlotte Well, I think, is doing something, like, so subtle and so, like, constructed in such an interesting way. I don't know. The directing category provides a lot of snubs, I think, year to year, but this year feels... And I agree with your 10 thing.
But I want to hear about because you were going to go... I mean, I know there's at least probably 2 directing, here that you love, right?
Yeah, oh gosh, all right, so here... all right, I want Spielberg to win. I'm not even going to, like, pretend. I'm not even going to pretend that I want anyone else to win. I want Spielberg to win. This is... a story that his mother begged for him for a long time to tell. I felt all of the things. I thought it was beautiful. I mean, like, this is the thing. I think, when you have someone who's been, so recognized for so long, you can start to take for granted exactly everything that they do. I think that happens. The camping scene, the end shot, the intention of, like, the beach day filming sequence, like, there's just so much in this that's just like, damn, that's directing. Like, that's what that is. Like, that's an auteur. That is someone with a perspective. That is someone telling a story. Like, I want to see Spielberg win this. And I say that really boldly, knowing that I feel very passionately about Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I've been, kind of waving that flag for a long time. But at the same time, I want to see Steven Spielberg on that stage. I'm looking for a directing Best Picture split. Like, that is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for Fabelmans to be recognized here. I think people are underappreciating and valuing what that film is. That's my feelings on directors. You guys know. You go.
Me?
Yeah. Go, Anthony.
I just thought of another snub, and I'm going to talk about this one more, but the guy who did RRR should be on there as well.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
Masterpiece.
Yeah.
But anyway, I agree with you, Lauren. I don't quite know. I honestly every day go back and forth between if I want the Daniels to win or Spielberg. It would be nice for Spielberg to win for, like, his autobiography in a way, you know? Honestly, like, this is bad because I want him to continue making movies forever, but if this were his final film, I'd be okay with that. Like, truly, it's a good mic drop movie. But, I'll say this. I think who will win and should win, it's going to be Spielberg or the Daniels. Like, I can't tell you who I think should win because I think I would like a tie. There might be a tie. Yeah, I know. But who will win? One of those 2.
One of those 2.
So,
all right.
That's it.
I feel good about that.
As the person that gives so many honorable mentions, I can't believe you both are just give out ties. Like, there's nobody's business.
It's hopeful. We're being hopeful.
Today, Spielberg. I said it there. I want Spielberg.
All right. It's on. When we watch the Arts Quest show, the Steel Stack
I'll
show.
say the Daniels.
Ryan, how about you?
I'm with you guys. To me, it's. I think it. I hate picking against Spielberg, and I want to see.
Then don't.
Because I agree with you guys. Like, even though Lauren and I've talked about this, I like The Fabelmans a lot, but I did not love it quite to the degree that she did. Like, she, loved it through and through, and for me, it was a little bit of expectation got thrown off on me of what I thought I was going to see and what we got. But that's nothing against everything Spielberg did was brilliant as always with him. And it's just a really good, beautiful film. And everything he does great is on display in this movie. So he really deserves it. And, as a, like you said, like, if this is, he maybe just that one last Oscar or, maybe this is one of another, we'll see. But so I wouldn't be upset to see Spielberg win by any means. But the Daniels did something really unique and cool and just somehow created a script, or just created a movie that was just so heartfelt and wacky. They made the most unique comedy family film that I've ever seen, and the fact that we're still sitting here talking about it, so I'm leaning towards them. But
they made sausage fingers,
Yeah.
and talking. I changed my answer.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Daniels. So.
Why are those rocks making me so sad? And I think this is the problem, because the movie has to do so much, or chooses to embark upon so much. I was listening to or watching a YouTube video where someone was like, the family comedy's dead. And I'm like, have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once? You might feel it's still alive if you want. Now, granted, it's weird, but like it's the best kind of weird. I'm going to move us into writing. And I'm going to kind of lump us together with adapted and original as far as our categories go. Mainly because I'm just curious if there are any of these scripts that we feel very passionately about. So in adapted, we have All Quiet on the Western Front, a movie that we've not even remotely talked about. Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery. Living. Top Gun Maverick. Women Talking, and then an original screenplay, we have The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Tar, and Triangle of Sadness. Are there any particular of the writing nominations that we're feeling super strongly about?
Women Talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's your odds on?
That's... I don't know.
Then Sarah Polley gets to win an Oscar.
Yes.
And you get to talk about how you think Sarah Polley should have played Penny Lane.
Everything Sarah Polley.
Anthony, how about you? Any that you're feeling pretty passionately about?
Well, for original, Tar, get out of there. But Everything Everywhere All at Once, I think will win that. Although, honestly, Fabelmans or Banshees could win. I could see McDonough or Spielberg winning that, but I do think... Well, sorry, that would be Tony Kushner.
Tony Kushner, yeah.
Yeah. But Everything Everywhere, I think, will win. In terms of adapted, I think it's going to be... I think Women Talking is the favorite, but I wouldn't rule out All Quiet on the Western Front, to be honest. I actually really loved the movie a lot. I'm thrilled it got as many nominations as it did.
Well, and I will say, coming out of the BAFTAs, I think there's a strong argument for that, because it seemed to be that, and I don't know if that's the BAFTAs going, it's not winning Oscars, this is where it's going to get its flowers. I don't know if it's that, or just it's maybe a signal of look, this Oscars race kind of isn't over yet, and this film it could have a potential to sneak in. Ryan, any particular? You said Women Talking. Did you have one for original as well?
I'm good with all of them.
You're good with all of them?
Yeah, I don't really have I'm probably with you, Anthony. Probably, maybe my least favorite is Tar of that grouping. Yeah. But probably, I mean, if Everything Everywhere All at Once, which obviously championing, hugely. Banshees of Inisherin, we talked already about that, the writing on that. Maybe that's where that deserves the credit. So, no, I mean, I really don't have a problem with any of these.
Yeah, I am 100%. I'm down for Women Talking.
Yeah, I mean,
get me up that. There's so much done in that. I think this is why we're so angry about the lack of directing nomination here, because there's so much done in that barn. But the writing is so profound and restrained at the same time. It's working a really fine line. And yeah, I think that could work. Really
Although
well.
I realize my now that you're saying that, kind of my argument for Sarah Polley being in that category and kicking Martin McDonagh out.
Oh yeah, it is kind of hilarious. Yeah,
similar. So,
so before we get into the big race, which is obviously the best picture, are there any categories on here? We're not going through the entire ballot. That would be a 9-hour episode. Although, so here for a marathon Oscars conversation with both of you.
I'm in.
Any films that you're feeling super passionately about, or any categories that you're like, I need to see this have some love on Oscars night?
Well, the two that I look at here these are less technical categories, but animated feature film, I have not seen The Sea Beast, as we discussed. But taking that out of the equation, the other 4 films, I actually think this is one of the best animated feature film lineups I've seen. Honestly,
100%.
I really thought that Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio could have been a Best Picture nominee. I really did. International film, I like this lineup. Look, India got it wrong in submitting the last film show. They should have submitted RRR. It should be on this list. It should be on this list several times, including Best Picture, which we'll get to later. But of that list, All Quiet on the Western Front, I think, will win Best International, which I'm very okay with. So.
I thought this is where I was going to hear your love for Puss in Boots.
Oh, I mean, masterpiece. Loved it. In my top 10.
It's weirdly good.
Yeah,
weirdly good. Yeah. It has no right being that good.
Yeah.
Ryan, would you have any of the categories that you're feeling super passionately about?
No, I like what you talked about a little bit here with the animation. I think it's the most strong. It's one of the strongest years that I can remember, and I agree with you. And I think once you see Sea Beast, you'll think that deserves to be in there. I would have thought before I saw all of them that I would have been like, hey, Pinocchio by far. But all of them kind of have their merits. I do just want to say this. This is my one kind of thing moment where Marcella in the Shell was so good.
It was.
But it has one of a quote that I'm just going to say, and I'm going to put it out there, and I'm just kind of like, because it was probably the most hit me, really strong moments and quotes, which was, it was a really sunny day with a good breeze, and I just remember thinking, if I was somebody else, I would really be enjoying this. And no quote spoke to me more than that, and I think, I just wanted to say that.
Cool. Well, Anthony and I are going to go cry in a corner for a little while. Oh, dude, yeah. Well, that was the thing about that movie is, like, I was almost afraid to watch it because I was like, I think this is going to really make me feel things, like, in a deep, deep way. And, like, and I used to, the song, I got a peaceful, easy feeling. I used to feel good about that song. I no longer feel good about it. I just hear, like, a bar from it, and I'm like, the shell. Mine are, I would like to see Babylon win an original score because you can't tell me Voodoo Mama doesn't make you want to get up and dance. There are a lot of the shorts that I was really captivated by in particular. And this is, if you invest in it, is like the Martha Mitchell Effect, I think is going to be a feature length film at some point. I think, because I think it deserves it. And I think Martha Plimpton should play her. Which will make sense if you ever watch it. I also, in animated feature, I agree with your evaluation, Anthony. This is like one of the strongest years in recent memory where I'm like, any of them. I'd be really happy with any of them winning. And I came into this thinking, because Turning Red was one of my favorite films of 2022. But I don't know that I feel that. I would feel equally happy with all of them, which is like a nice place to be in, to have like such a nice stacked category. Also, who doesn't want to see like these incredible like original song performances? This is going to be fun. Rihanna's going to be out there. Rihanna did Super Bowl. She's doing the Oscars. She could take home the Oscars. She could complete the mission that J-Lo was on. I was going to
say, she's course correcting.
I think she is, and this is the course correction.
Or market correcting J-Lo.
I get to see Natu performed live. I just remembered that.
Yes.
All right, my snub.
Yeah.
Taylor.
Oh, Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift.
And Oscars, you dropped the ball on this one here.
What movie?
You would have had she
would
have
an
original song for Where the Crawdads Sing, which should have been there before. What was it? Applause.
From Tell Like a Woman. That's not
never
great
heard of that movie until I got nominated.
No, and the song's not great.
And Oscars, you need people to be watching. You telling me you would have had a night with Rihanna, Lady Gaga, Taylor Swift, Tom Cruise in the audience, like. That's what
I thought you meant like Tom Cruise was going to get up and do like an interpretive dance to Hold My Hand.
Yeah, right.
I would have been all about that.
Fair enough.
He probably would have done it skydiving into the Dolby Theater.
Okay, this brings us to the biggest of conversations. This is the Best Picture race, which... I'm just going to say the nominees. I'm very intrigued to hear where we're all falling on this at this point. So we have All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, The Way of Water, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Tar, Top Gun Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, Women Talking. Any snubs? Any films that did not make it on this list that we were hoping made it on this list?
I have two. I think I've mentioned them both several times, but The Woman King and RRR. And I would have taken off Tar, surprise. And actually, I would take off Avatar: The Way of Water. Like, I actually really liked the first movie. I know a lot of people poop on it. I think it's great, and I thought it deserved to be nominated for Best Picture. This one, I did not. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was good, and then it got all these accolades, and I'm like, all right, it's not as good as the first one. Pump the brakes. So, and you're both going to disagree with me.
100%.
Yes, completely.
All right.
But I just like that you're like, pump the brakes, everybody. It ain't that great.
Yeah, I mean, we neither of us enjoyed the first one, and we both really loved this
so
one.
the opposite of me.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
I mean, it's Titanic, but that's fine.
I don't really.
It's in the back part.
Whether it deserves the best picture, I don't know.
I don't know. But I will say, I mean, like, there were a lot of things in the film I was like, whew, that's really pretty. And I'm glad. And I felt emotionally attached to the journey. But I'm with you. I don't know if it needs to be in the best picture conversation.
You spend that much money and take that long to make a movie, you deserve a nomination.
Ryan, any snubs for you?
I mean, Bardo seems like it could be there. After Sun. I'll steal from you Babylon. I'll let you talk more about that. But I don't really. I think it's a really. I like the year. I like these films. I like that they're so different. So I don't have a huge snub issue on the best picture.
That's fair. Mine it's singular. It's Babylon. I don't know why the Academy seems like allergic to Damien Chazelle's success, but that's fine. I'm not mad at it. Not really. It's, here's the thing. I would say that this movie is like a very specific kind of fever dream, and I think it's going to hit a very specific audience, and I think its specificity may have been the problem. Like, I don't know. I just came out going, like, I literally grabbed you by the shoulders. We're walking out of the theater, and I was like, that's an effing movie. Like, I was, like, amped up. And it's not like, they were doing lines in the movie. I was not. I just felt really energized by what I had seen. I was like, let's go. And then the Oscars were like, well, you stay outside, Damien Chazelle. We'll give you scores. So that's my snub. But, the time is nigh. Only one gets to be the 95th Best Picture, from Wings to whatever this is going to be. Anthony, we'll start with you. Who do you think should win, or who do you think want to win, or is there overlap on these things?
I think there are... I also want to say, if I were in control of the Oscars, there'd be 11 Best Picture nominees, and I would throw the Batman in there. I forgot.
Nice!
Anyway,
yes!
Okay, I think there are 3 films that can win Best Picture, okay?
Okay.
Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Banshees of Inisherin, and The Fabelmans. And I think tonight, after the SAG Awards, when we see who wins Best Ensemble, I think that will give us a better idea. What do I want to win? Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Right on.
That's it.
Ryan.
I mean, it's probably the year I'm excited because I really don't have any type of feel. I think there's so many movies, because I also will say that I think All Quiet on the Western Front has a shot, and I do think that Top Gun is still in the possibility.
I don't disagree with you. Yeah. I don't.
If I was, I honestly, my belief is, I think either Everything Everywhere All at Once should win, or Top Gun Maverick. Those are my 2 that I am rooting both for very much. I think Everything Everywhere at Once really, really deserves it. But kind of like, we've talked about at other times, where I think Top Gun would be really good for the Oscars, would be really good for the industry to win this. I mean, it is a film that just brought everybody together. Everybody really liked it. The fact that it's still in this conversation, even kind of as the wild card, I think is really something, that we need to talk about more. But at the end of the day, I think Everything Everywhere All at Once will find its way to victory.
Right on.
Yeah.
This is, I think, a year where I think you used the word epic earlier. And I think that's like, there's like a scale to the films that are nominated in Best Picture that feels like really great, and what you want in a Best Picture race. I've been talking to our friend John a lot about the Top Gun Maverick effect and what that could mean for Oscars. And I don't know if it's Inception or if this is like a Beautiful Mind situation. He's just gotten me so convinced. Like, I have become really well convinced that Top Gun Maverick's winning Best Picture. And I think it's because they are trotting Tom Cruise out like he's the Pope, man. They might as well put the little glass bubble over him. I think Hollywood at some point went like, he's our most precious commodity, and we are going to make sure he's out front on this. I think the loving embrace of Steven Spielberg telling him at the Oscar nominee luncheon, you saved the theaters. And I think the general reaction, he was moving through the crowd. But honestly, like a savior figure. Like, that's how people are describing it. They're describing this like this is like Jim Morrison. Like, it is like nuts. And I think there's something there with that. I agree with you all. Like, I would love to see Everything Everywhere All at Once win. I think that would make me the happiest. But if Top Gun Maverick won, I think that would be tremendous too. I don't know that I'd be mad if it was Tar. I don't even know if I'd be mad if it was Triangle of Sadness. I'd be like, yeah, it's like a takedown on the rich. Like, that makes sense. It's weird that Hollywood's doing it for Best Picture, but all right. Like, I don't know that I've got anger around Best Picture at this point.
Something I noticed with you guys with Steel Stacks, you guys had put up your top favorite films of the year and had put that up. And, I noticed that Everything Everywhere at All at Once, either everybody or almost everybody put that as one of their favorite films. And I think that's the thing that I think really makes that film special. I think Top Gun kind of speaks to not us nerds that are sitting here talking for 2 hours about the Oscars. It speaks to a bigger audience, a bigger umbrella than Everything Everywhere at Once. But I think when you come down to it, I think that's why that to me it's going to find its way. And I thought, I'm surprised you didn't go a little harder, Lauren, for the Fabelmans a little bit because,
I think I'm being realistic.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's got steam and legs right now. And I really hope it's desserts in directing. That's what I'm kind of hoping for. I'm hoping for a split, and I'm hoping it splits in a way where I feel like I get to have everything everywhere all at once.
Well done.
All right, do we have one last lightning round in us?
Can I ask a question, though?
No.
We obviously, all three of us love Banshees of Inisherin. But do you... What's everybody's feeling about the American remake?
There's an American remake? When
That's
did that
dumb.
happen?
Yeah, sorry.
You just make that up?
No, Spirits of Indiana. It's going to be Bill Hader and Ben Schwartz
Stop
playing
You
the
did make
leads.
it up. I hope they still use Irish accents, though.
The two of us looked at you with sharpened knives. What did you just say? You quit your nonsense talking.
You're lying!
I got a little fearful there.
Yeah, you did, because both of us reacted so poorly. All right.
Your guys' reaction, though, make me feel, are you guys sure you're not both rooting for Banshees of Inisherin that night?
I think that's the thing, is this weird thing. I'm just like, well, yeah, of course. My
the thing.
obsession with Irish culture means I have to be.
Can I go back and
rooting
say
for
that just one moment quick? There is not, I know we come a little bit at tar, but there's generally, even with that, there's not a movie on this list that I hate. We've had years where Green Book was up and I'm going, oh, please, no. Or, and we've taught, and no offense if you were a fan of Green Book, I'm not sure. Okay. So that's the exciting part about this. All of these films are so different, and all of these films speak to a different audience, and they're all got these really great merits of being there. So I just think it's a cool year.
All right, lightning
Except
round.
Tar.
Except
Hate that
Tar.
one.
Yeah, Tar's Tar. All right. So I have one last lightning round. Ryan Tossi, what is your biggest hope for Oscars night?
Surprise.
Ooh.
Positive surprise.
Positive.
Yes.
Yeah, you gotta be careful how you word that.
And I just want to see emotions.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want feelings.
Yeah.
Anthony?
My biggest hope?
Biggest hope.
Brendan Fraser wins the Oscar for Best Actor.
Right on.
And then my car gets to stay intact.
Yeah, because you've said it on the podcast, so now. Ryan, what is your biggest... Oh, my biggest hope for Oscars night. I want to see Steven Spielberg cry. I'm just going to be honest. But in a good way. In a positive way. Ryan, what is your biggest fear for Oscars night?
I don't want to see Steven Spielberg in a negative way crying at the Oscars.
He bought me breakfast. Did I ever tell you that?
What?
Oh, yeah, well, I'm lying a little. But I was in line for the press and industry screening of The Fabelmans. And normally the talent doesn't show up to those. They just show up to the public ones. So I'm in line 6 a.m. And someone comes up and goes, hey, Spielberg's here. He's going to do a press conference. And there's a breakfast upstairs. So I was like...
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I was like, great. And it's funny, 'cause actually right before this happened, this woman in front of me, she wrote for some news journal for years, but said she worked with Spielberg in the 70s and 80s and said that he is one of the nicest people she's ever met in her life. And then that happened, then I'm like, I believe you. So I have pictures on my phone I can show you.
Oh my god, yes!
Yeah, Spielberg,
Oh, sorry, Mike.
Paul Dano, Seth Rogen, the Gabriel, whatever his last name is, Judd Hirsch, and Tony Kushner were all there.
Wow.
So, that picture.
Spielberg's eggs just taste different, don't they?
It's better. Somehow Spielberg eggs taste better in a place like this. But honestly, because I remember you saying, you were like, I saw The Fabelmans. It was amazing. Also, Spielberg was there. And I was like, I love this text message, and I hate this text message so much. It's just... Okay. So what is your biggest fear for Oscars night? Your biggest fear is Steven Spielberg crying in a sad way.
Oh, no. That was my answer. I'm sorry.
What's your biggest fear for Oscars night?
A repeat of the BAFTAs.
Okay.
I think it would be just tragic to the show.
I agree.
I mean, if the All Quiet wins everything?
Yes.
Oh. Have you seen the movie?
I have.
Okay, fair enough. Film is subjective.
I saw a better version of that a couple of years ago in 1930.
Oh.
1917. No.
Oh, 1917, okay. I think about the original movie.
He's like,
But yes, I think that's the thing. I think we will be going backwards by
Fair. Okay.
this
That's
film
fair.
winning.
My biggest hope was that Fraser wins the Oscar. My biggest fear is Fraser loses the
The
Oscar.
Oscar.
So
Pinning a lot of hopes on Brendan Fraser, and I like it.
Also, my biggest fear is someone else gets slapped, or there's something that's going to take away from wins the next day, which
completely.
doesn't happen.
I agree. My biggest fear is... Oh, gosh, I don't know. Honestly, I gotta say, I really think my biggest fear is Cate Blanchett winning for Tar. I don't feel that performance. I don't feel that storyline. And I love Cate Blanchett. I think she's remarkable, but I think that's the one where I'm going to be like, something feels missed. I think in what you were talking about, like a backwards, okay, I get it. It's an Oscars performance. Great. Okay, but you've done 1,000 of those, Cate Blanchett, and you're such a deserving and incredible actress. It's not at her. It's more at, I think, what it tells us about the landscape of how the voting body is voting.
Yeah, and to kind of go on top of that, the BAFTA thing that I'm also is talking about the fact it was a very white, and I think that's another thing that the Oscars nobody wants to see that. So it needs to be a more diverse group winning.
Representational, yeah, 100%. Okay, this is after that comment going to feel like the silliest of questions. What's your must-have snack for the show?
Champagne and popcorn.
Nice.
I usually get a giant tub of popcorn. I drown it in butter. I put shredded cheese, Parmesan, white cheddar, and then hot sauce. Treat yourself.
Anthony's a revolutionary.
Thank you.
This guy has breakfast with Spielberg and is talking about a snack that we are 100% now
Putting that
making.
recipe up.
My badassery knows no better. I don't think that counts as 2 swear words, but I'm sorry.
Not at all.
All right.
My must-have snacks I have to have soft pretzel.
Ooh. Mustard, cheese?
Cube cheese if we feeling fancy.
Interesting.
And it's got to have like a stony green mustard, because the first Oscars we ever watched together, he took me out and we got big soft pretzels at the Kutztown Tavern. And so now every year since, we always have soft pretzels.
I'm scooping what you're pooping.
Anthony's just coming out the gate here at the
I
end.
also feel like my answer now I should have said pretzels too.
No!
Yours is great.
We
I failed that.
All right, last one. And you can think of this positively or negatively. If blank wins on my ballot, I will just about fall off my chair or couch or however you sit.
Is that a fall in good or bad? You said
You can take it either way.
Well, if Fraser wins, then all is right with the world, so I won't have to do that.
You can just stay on your chair.
Okay. If Cate Blanchett wins, I will fall on my ballot. On my couch and dog and floor and car keys and the car that somehow got into my house. Because I'm about to dismantle it before I set it on fire.
Ryan, how about you?
You know what? I think probably Top Gun. I would be shocked to see it, even though I think there's this outside shot of it, but I think it would be like, wow, okay, that would be pretty cool. Although the Andrea Riseborough that we talked about earlier, and just kind of the chaos that ensues if she somehow finds a way to victory, would have me really fall out of my chair.
Nice. Mine would be Todd Field winning for directing.
I
will be really confused about life if that happens. Like, and even at that, like, I would say, like, even if like Robert Esselin won, like, I at least go, well, there's something happening in that movie, so okay. Like, you know, like love it or hate it, at least there's something. Like,
I have never enjoyed being so uncomfortable watching a movie than watching Triangle of Sadness.
that movie is maximum discomfort.
I didn't want it to end. I was like, I could watch 8 more hours of this, and I'm just like cringing in my seat. Like, this is so great. Oh my god, I'm dying.
Why am I watching so much vomiting?
That was a movie that I was like, as it was going, I had a lot of comments about it, and then I realized later, I think I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. It's you know what, I think in that way it's like a weird think piece where it sits in there for a little bit and you're like, is something cool happening here? I don't know. Maybe I need to rethink, because honestly I've been having that as of late, the more I've reflectively thought about the third act of the film.
Lauren, I thought yours was going to be if Anthony Hopkins wins.
Writing ballot.
Yeah.
Actually, here's the thing. I will fall off my chair if somehow, like, a rope drops from onto the stage and like Tom Cruise rappels in. That's what I'm here for. I want something very weird to happen with Tom Cruise on stage at the Oscars.
I want that to happen too.
Like, right? I want something. I want him to get weird with it. I want him to skydive into the Oscars. I want strange. I want something a little strange. Because I don't want last year's strange. That's not fun. That leads to like complicated conversation. I just want something a little weird, like Rob Lowe and Snow White singing in the opening. I want it weird.
Maybe a little better.
Maybe a little better.
So you want it bad? I don't know.
Do you know, Ryan, I've been thinking about this since you mentioned this, and I'm looking at the ballot for everything in front of us. Here's what I actually think could happen. Top Gun and Everything Everywhere are actually not nominated in a lot of the same categories. Mm-hmm. I think what's going to happen is the two of them are going to sweep all the technical ones, right? I think there's like one that they share. And I think that could actually do a good kind of hint at what's to come later. Now, Top Gun, the reason I do think it could win Best Picture is because it is nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. If that wins, it's winning Best Picture.
Yeah.
Okay? So
I'm going to text you and be like, oh shit, it's happening.
it has to be women talking. So that.
Well, thank you both so much. This is, I mean, like, I think for all three of us, like, a top, if not favorite, time of the year. This has been so incredible, Anthony, to have you on for this. We couldn't think of anyone else that should be sitting third mic to talk about the Oscars this year. Anthony, share again, what is the name of your letterbox so people can check out your cool recommendations?
Sound of Silence. Sound and silence, the S's are capitalized.
Okay, thank you very much. So check that out and get great recommendations.
Anything coming up at Steel Stacks you'd like to let our audience know about?
Okay, so yeah, some cool stuff we have coming up. We got a lot of cool screenings, free or ticketed. Just check our website, steelstacks.org/film. You can get more information about like our first Saturday horror series or Saturday night anime or all the other cool free series we do, like the LGBTQ plus series, Black Film and Now, Cinema Significa, Femme and Film. But I'm excited that, we very shortly are going to announce our Filmmaker Festival lineup, which is the Greater Lehigh Valley Filmmaker Festival, which will take place on April 1st and 2nd. It's 2 days for the first time.
That's awesome.
And we're going to have adjudicated blocks, of course, but we're also going to do like panel discussions on different topics and stuff. There might be a workshop or two. So just check our website, steelstacks.org/film. If the information is not online now, it will be very soon.
So exciting. Yes. Such a fun time of year. And I think like a really nice way to like, we're talking about like love and appreciation of film. So go out and check out some local filmmakers. This is like a really incredible weekend. This is going to be awesome. Well, Anthony, thank you so much for being here. This was great. I cannot wait to see how right we all are in our picks. I know the Academy is listening to us and they're going to honor our wishes on Oscars night, especially Brendan Fraser. Otherwise, you're not going to have a car anymore and then you're going to have to start Ubering to work all the time.
And I'm an Uber driver, so that really doesn't help me.
No!
I can't even pick up myself, so...
Well, if you're not currently following us on social media, please check us out at How Could You Podcast on Instagram, at How Could You Pod on Twitter. You can follow us at facebook.com/How Could You Podcast, on YouTube at youtube.com/How Could You Podcast. You can also email us at that link at gmail.com. Check out all the fun things we have coming up. Make sure you are following all the really amazing programming that's happening at the Steel Stacks Frank Banko Alehouse Cinemas.
I think it's nice that we share the same sky. And until next time, enjoy the Odyssey.